What's up guys, it's Gone, and today we'll be doing my 2025 MLB mock draft. While definitely not as flashy as the NFL or even NBA drafts just due to the lack of immediate production from baseball prospects, the MLB draft is still incredibly important for team construction, allowing teams who missed the playoffs or had bad records last year to have the best chance at future star talent. As a result, the MLB draft should get the same kind of love in terms of media coverage, especially because many fans have never even heard of the names called during draft day. This video will look to cover some of the names by predicting where they will go in a mock draft and deliver a digestible analysis of their archetype by offering a player analysis. As per usual, this mock draft is subject to change given any sudden drastic development such as an injury. Additionally, this mock draft is by no means a ranking system of any kind, but rather just my prediction on who's going to be drafted where and why. This year, the Dodgers, Mets, and Yankees received a 10-pick penalty on their first-round picks for exceeding the second surcharge threshold on the competitive balance tax and fall out of the top 10. Therefore, this video will cover the first 27 picks in the first round, as well as one player I could see going to the Dodgers, Mets, or Yankees with their first pick. However, before we get onto the video, could you guys please hit the like and subscribe button? Currently, only 3% of people who watch my videos are subscribed, so if y'all do, not only would help me grow my channel, but also would encourage me to create more videos like this one for you guys. And without further ado, let's get on to the video. So, as for the first overall pick, I could see the Nationals going in a few different directions here. On one hand, this draft is very strong in the pitching department, and the Nationals specifically have a long-term need for another solid starting pitcher. However, on the other hand, they are also looking at a potential generational infield prospect in Ethan Holliday. In this case, I see them either going with Holliday or one of these top pitching prospects. But in my draft, I have them going probably with a chalk option in Ethan Holliday, which would pair him along with Jackson, as the only two brothers to go number 1 overall together. At this point in their careers, Ethan is probably the more polished as an overall player than his brother was at their ages. Ethan Holliday is 4 inches taller than Jackson and weighs about 25 more pounds. With this size, he's generated some of the best exit velocities in his class, ranging up to 111 miles per hour already, and scouts believe that he has 35 home run upside from either the shortstop or third base position. Although most scouts believe that he'll likely move to third base as he fills out his frame, defensively, there's currently no complaints about him at shortstop, and he'll likely still be a decent if not good defender there, even if he puts on more muscle for power. Right now, his comp as a larger-bodied left-handed infielder is Gunnar Henderson. And as for the second overall pick, most mock drafters, myself included, believe that the Angels will continue their mantra of drafting college players with their early round picks with the hopes of progressing them up their system as fast as possible to contribute to their major league team. In this regard, I think that Aiva Arquette is a really good fit for them, but the Angels do have Zach Neto for the long term at shortstop, so I think I see them going with pitching this year, where they will have their choice of a plethora of very good pitching prospects. Now, taking into account the Angels' strategy of drafting college players and rushing them up to the major league level, I think that they have their option of 2 very good left-handed pitching prospects in Jamie Arnold or Liam Doyle. However, I think that Arnold does have the better offering of secondary pitches at the moment and can sooner reach the major league level, so the Angels go with him. This season, Arnold has had a 2.59 ERA with 90 strikeouts in only 66 innings. As a freshman, Arnold admittedly struggled, however, he has improved significantly year over year. Arnold saw his velocity that previously sat in the low 90s as a freshman to tick up into the mid 90s right now, with a slider that tunnels excellently off of that, playing against lefties and righties. With his delivery and repertoire, many scouts do compare him to Chris Sale. Now, the next pick at 3 by the Mariners is a little bit tricky. Do they see a college bat that can be a meaningful contributor that can help them capitalize on their dominant young pitching staff, or do they continue to go with their tried and true method of developing top-end pitchers through the drafts? I personally believe that Arnold going to the Angels at 2 here really impacts the Mariners' decision brass, as they choose to go with shortstop Aiva Arquette out of Oregon State instead. Arquette at this point has had the best year of his career, batting .348, .473, .676 for a 1.149 OPS and a career-high 17 home runs. Simply put, Arquette is a pure hitter whose recent power surge in his junior season has had his upside up at 25 home runs now from the right-handed side. Arquette also has historical positional flexibility and has the athleticism to play around the middle infield, which is a bonus for Seattle. However, if they are drafting him, they are drafting him for his bat, which has Gunnar Henderson level upside from the right-handed side, although his game overall reminds me a lot of Zach Geloff. Simply put, I think that the Rockies need a very high upside play here at number 4 to get fans rejuvenated into their arduous rebuild with some excitement. and I think that Liam Doyle could provide just that. Doyle has been one of the biggest risers in this draft thanks to a terrific season with 142 strikeouts and only 83 innings at Tennessee with an ERA near 3. He's got one of the best fastballs in this class, with very high velocity and rise, and he has relied a ton on his fastball this season, as he should. Although he also does have a cutter and slider that's in the mid-80s and offer more offerings, especially to left-handed hitters. He also has a splitter against righties, which is currently developing. I believe that his current fastball-heavy approach works very well for Coors Field, and the Rockies would grab another very young, exciting pitcher to pair alongside Chase Dollander for a decade to come. Right now, he reminds me a lot of Cole Reagans with his release and repertoire. With the Cardinals having some recent success with their young players despite being in a small rebuild, I think that grabbing a college arm here is the best way to capitalize on their success within this time frame. And what's good for them is that this draft is very collegiate pitching heavy, so even though 2 have already been taken, there are still some A-tier prospects on this front. And between Kade Anderson and Kyson Witherspoon, I like Kade Anderson slightly better for the Cardinals here. This season, Anderson has done a magnificent job at missing bats, with 133 strikeouts and only 83 innings. Anderson has a fastball that sits in the mid-90s and can touch the high 90s, although he also has a slower upper 70s curveball as well as a mid-80s slider and changeup, which he has shown confidence in. With this kind of repertoire at such a young age, I think Anderson can move through a system relatively fast for a college arm. I see a little bit of Blake Snell in his game. The Pittsburgh Pirates are in a very similar spot to the Colorado Rockies in that they really just need more exciting young players to get fans reinvigorated. While I could see them grabbing another college bat to try to capitalize on the production of Paul Skeens, they are much more than just one offensive player away in terms of their offense being playoff caliber. Therefore, I simply have them getting the player on the board left with the highest upside, and that happens to be prep righty Seth Hernandez. Standing at 6'4", Hernandez possesses the prototypical frame of a durable top-of-the-line starter with the potential for elite velocity. Currently, his fastball sits in the mid-90s, but it's expected to climb in the 96 to 98 mph range with heavy sink as he continues to grow into his body. He shows impressive command of both his fastball and his secondary pitches, which are already a strength for him. His arsenal includes a sharp low 80s changeup and a sharp low 80s slider, along with a high-spin curveball in the upper 70s. If he can make it in time, a trio of Paul Skeens, Bubba Chandler, and now Seth Hernandez may be the best trio in all of baseball. Given his size, pitch mix, and velocity potential, he draws a strong comparison to Zach Wheeler. Now, the Marlins have their choice now between 2 of the top prep position players left on the board in Billy Carlson and Eli Willits. Right now, Carlson is the better fielder while Willits is projected as a more natural hitter. And considering how offense is valued among middle infielders, I think that the Marlins here go with Willits. A switch hitter better from the left-handed side, Willits has had an uncanny hit tool for his age. He already has a great understanding of the strike zone, which complements his compact swing. Standing at 6'1" and 165 pounds, right now Willits currently does possess a below-average power tool, but who knows, he could fill out his frame and become someone with 20 to 25 homer upside. Defensively, he's got good athleticism, and while his instincts and technique are still raw at his age, he's only going to be 17 going into the draft, one of the younger players. So there's still a ton of time for him to learn the shortstop position, or maybe even move off of it. With this raw athleticism, Willits reminds me a ton of a switch-hitting Jackson Merrill, a player capable of playing shortstop at a high level, but also with the athleticism to provide positional versatility around the field. Now the Blue Jays have a golden opportunity to take Carlson, who I think that if they had the choice would have probably gone so anyway considering their mantra of team-wide great defense. Similar to Willits, Carlson has great athleticism that translates into an excellent range at shortstop. However, Carlson also has a great arm and defensive instincts that are already close to major league caliber, and probably provide for some Gold Glove upside in the future. Offensively, there's still some questions. He's got impressive bat speed, although it is yet to translate to elite exit velocities or power numbers yet, and while he is an impressive runner on the base paths, he is more athletic than elite. Nonetheless, I think that his defense provides an excellent floor, especially at such a premium position, and he is one of the safer high school selections in this draft. With his raw arm strength and defensive abilities, he reminds me a ton of Mason Wynn. The Reds seem very inclined to go college here, so I have them taking the best A-tier collegiate pitcher left on the board in Kyson Witherspoon. While Witherspoon has not done as good of a job as Anderson as missing bats, he has had a very good year of his own as well, pitching to a 2.47 ERA with 120 strikeouts and only 91 innings at Oklahoma. From the right-handed side, Witherspoon already has a great arsenal. He's got a mid-90s fastball that may even translate into a consistent high-90s fastball if he continues to mature, as well as a very good feel of his horizontal breaking pitches and his slider and cutter. Coupled that with a nice curveball and developing changeup, with his current repertoire, he's got a starter's arsenal of pitches. And while some of the lefties drafted before him may have an offering more dominant than him, they also come with some serious reliever risk. Among them, I believe that Witherspoon has the best chance to stick as a starter, and in a rotation of Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, Andrew Abbott, Chase Burns, Rhett Lauder, and now Kyson Witherspoon, that would be very scary to face over a 162-game season, especially combined with some of the young hitters they have in their midst. He definitely has a little bit of Spencer Strider with his delivery and repertoire. Now, for the White Sox, I really like Jace LaViolette here in that they get a high upside pick that also adds desperately needed middle of the order slug for their offense long term. This season, LaViolette has admittedly struggled, dropping him out of first overall considerations. While the walk rate is still encouraging, the contact numbers are down and he will not top his career best of 27 home runs from last year, potentially a symptom of no longer having Braden Montgomery in the lineup. However, the White Sox here could reunite the two while also grabbing the best power bat left on the board and potentially in this entire draft. LaViolette is 6'6" and 230 pounds, clearing 115 miles per hour as his max exit velocity. For the most part, he has a controlled left-handed swing that goes to all fields, although he can get a little bit pull-happy at times and roll over on some breaking balls. For his height, his long strides actually make him a pretty good runner, and he can hold his own in center field where he's played a lot in college, but he will likely move to a corner outfield position in the future. He reminds me a lot of a more athletic Jack Caglione from last year's draft, as one of the best pure left-handed power threats, and seeing how Caglione is now knocking on the door to Major League success, the White Sox here could see some immediate success with LaViolette here as well. Now, as for the Athletics, they continue this draft's trend of selecting collegiate pitchers by selecting Tyler Bremner out of UC Santa Barbara. Bremner was initially seen as one of, if not the top pitching prospect in this draft. However, he has admittedly taken a step back this season, seeing his ERA jump up almost a full run from last season. However, Bremner has also seen the strikeouts go up, with 111 strikeouts in only 77 innings, proving that his stuff is still there. He's got a fastball that sits in the mid to high 90s with high spin and ride up in the zone, and he has the potential to move up in velocity in due time. For off-speed pitches, he's comfortable using a mid-80s slider and low-80s changeup. Specifically, I would like to highlight the changeup pitch as his best secondary offering, as it has heavy sink late into the action, projecting it to be an elite out pitch at the major league level against both righties and lefties. He's got decent command over all of them, and I think that with the right development, he can turn out to be a very solid starting pitcher as the A's move to Vegas. I see a good amount of Max Scherzer in him, both in terms of stature, repertoire, and velocity. I think I see the Rangers here go with a collegiate bat, and while I wish that there would have been a better power-hitting corner outfield archetypal type of player for them to get, that's not this draft's strength. So I have them instead grabbing shortstop Marek out of Wake Forest. Houston has a great baseline in his fielding. He is a plus defender at shortstop with great instincts to make up for his merely good athleticism. He should be able to stick it at shortstop, although he would be a plus utility man around the infield or even corner outfield position. Offensively, there's still some questions, but he is going to have another progressing season in his junior year, batting .351, .460, .572 with 12 home runs. He is projected to have slightly below average power at the major league level, but he reportedly added muscle between this offseason and it has worked, so this power shortage may be overblown. Nonetheless, he is a well-rounded shortstop or any other position he plays, and the way I see it, with his current hit tool over power, I see a lot of Trevor Story in his game. Unfortunately, this is not what the Giants wanted to see shake out amongst the top 12. I'm sure that they would have loved to see either Bremner or Houston with this selection, but with both of them off the board, they have to pivot to another college bat. And this is where I think Wehiwa Aloy out of Arkansas could be in play. Aloy has had a terrific season of his own, batting .358, .450, .677 with 18 home runs in 55 games as the primary shortstop, where scouts think that he does have the athletic ability and long-term range to play at the major league level, although he could also most likely hold his own around the infield or maybe even at a corner outfield position. Nonetheless, his power is his calling card. He's generated impressive exit velocities to all fields that have translated into home run prowess, and he could be a middle infielder who hits for 25 to 30 home runs at the major league level if it's all there. In that case, if he stays in the middle infield, he reminds me a lot of Willy Adames. Ironic considering that would be who his middle infield partner is if he gets drafted there and holds his own long term. Now, the Tampa Bay Rays love to draft toolsy players who they can develop into very nice major league viable cogs within their lineup. So I think that Steele Hall, a prep shortstop with top of the line speed, could be a very nice fit for them. With amazing athleticism and speed, he has excellent range at shortstop that, coupled with good instincts at the position, makes scouts very confident that he can stick as a quality major league option there. He has a quick swing from the right-handed side which focuses on generating more gap-to-gap power at the moment, which does synergize a lot with his speed. However, some scouts do believe that if he continues to grow more into his 6-foot frame, he can generate upwards of 15 home runs in a season. However, that won't be his calling card. Instead, it would be playing good defense, getting on base, and being a great base runner once on there. From the shortstop position, that's all you can ask for in terms of productivity there, where he reminds me a little bit of Jorge Mateo from the right-handed side, or CJ Abrams but with less power. I believe that the Red Sox here will go with a hitter in this draft, whether it be college or high school. Among them, I think that Ike Irish has the best chance to go here to the Red Sox at 15 as the first catcher off the board. Additionally, Irish has also played a lot of corner outfield this season for Auburn, where he has had a very productive season, batting .352, .457, .670 with 15 home runs in 50 games. As a catcher, he's a solid enough defender to be a viable option there. However, if the bat continues to play like this at the major league level, then he could be moved to right field to maximize his offense. He certainly does have the arm strength to play at both positions, although I personally like him at catcher a little bit more, where his offense can make him one of the elite catchers in this league, even accepting the fact that he sometimes can chase pitches out of the zone. He continues to remind me of Matt Dice, except with a little bit more in the power department. Now for the Twins, they continue this trend by taking another college bat, this time going with Brendan Summerhill out of Arizona. Summerhill has had a very weird season up to this point for the Wildcats. In terms of his stat line, he is doing great, batting .384, .503, .632 for a 1.135 OPS. However, he has suffered a hand injury in late March that knocked him out for over a month, and his power numbers are low because of such, with only 3 home runs in over 30 games. Nonetheless, Summerhill's calling card is his uncanny ability to get on base, while providing plus defense and base running abilities thanks to his above-average speed. I initially projected for Summerhill's upside to be 20 home runs across a full major league season. However, considering the season he's currently having, it may be toned down to about 15 home runs as a high. Nevertheless, Summerhill will still be a tremendously productive hitter as just a contact hitter, and he has the sheer athleticism and arm strength to be a plus defender in all 3 outfield spots as well. From the left-handed side, he reminds me a bit of Brandon Nimmo, as long as he can tap into his power a little bit more, or Jake McCarthy in his current state. Now at 17, the Cubs capitalize off of this prioritization of collegiate bats and pitchers by getting a very good high school bat that slid in the draft in shortstop JoJo Parker. Parker's best attribute is his plus bat-to-ball skills from the left-handed side. He's got a quick, compact swing that currently generates some nice exit velocities and can hopefully translate into good power numbers as he continues to refine his swing to better launch angles. Standing at 6'2", there's some talk of him moving to third base long-term. However, I don't know if he has the power for that position. Nonetheless, he'll get a look at shortstop and see if he improves his instincts there to stick at it. If he can't, moving to the hot corner or second base is also an option, where his offense will provide the upside. I see him more as a second baseman, where as a larger body he could remind many people of a just simply left-handed Ketel Marte, as he generates some elite exit velocities and can post some monster home run seasons as long as he continues to lift the ball in the air. The Arizona Diamondbacks have been connected to high school outfielder Slater Brun, and honestly, it makes perfect sense. Among draft communities, it's kind of a meme that the D-backs are infatuated with undersized, toolsy left-handed outfield prospects, and Brun fits that mold as a left-handed center field prospect that is slightly undersized at 5'10", but nonetheless has the tools to make him easily go as a first-rounder. Brun has plus speed that he uses to play a very good center field. Right now, his size, Brun's offensive abilities are more centered around his bat-to-ball skills and gap-to-gap power rather than his ability to hit home runs. But hey, we said the exact same thing about Corbin Carroll in his draft evaluation, and looked how that ended up turning out. With his upside, he could easily patrol a vast Chase Field outfield and center field, although at the same time, he could contribute to a no-fly zone with Alec Thomas or maybe even Drew Jones in the future. Right now, with his bat-to-ball abilities and speed, he's more of a shorter Michael Harris than a Corbin Carroll right now in terms of his power, although Carroll would be his upside. For the past couple of seasons, the Orioles have shown a liking towards collegiate players over prep players. So despite a couple of highly touted prep players still left on the board, I have them taking collegiate outfielder Devin Taylor out of Indiana. Across the board, Taylor has posted a terrific season over there. While he has seen his home run total stay pretty stagnant moving over to his junior year, his numbers across the board have seen an uptick, seeing him bat .367, .489, .690 for a 1.179 OPS. He has plus bat speed from the left-handed side and likely will be a 25 to 30 home run player in his prime. He's willing to use the entire field too and drive the ball with authority to left field despite being a left-handed hitter. He does swing and miss at a fair amount of pitches outside the zone a little bit at times. It can also be too patient too, but he will draw his walks a ton as well. Defensively and on the base paths, he's got average to slightly above average speed maybe, and while he played center field in college, he will play a corner outfield position in the major leagues, most likely in left field. Nonetheless, he's got potentially the best set of power and contact abilities in this draft, and I could see him shooting through a minor league system relatively fast. He very much reminds me of a raw Juan Soto, who has sneaky power to all fields and a great hit tool and plate discipline. Kruz Schoolcraft is a very tough player to project. On one hand, it's clear that he has potential as a Noah Schultz type of prospect. He is 6'8" and from the left-handed side, throws a nasty high 90s fastball and a great slider to play off of that. However, on the other hand, he is fighting against history, and that high school pitchers, especially lefties that have achieved success at the high school level, are notoriously hard to project and flame out a ton. I think that him going to the Brewers, who have a history of drafting and developing pitching prospects of his stature like Jacob Mizorowski, could be one of the best things to happen to his career. Right now, Schoolcraft needs to work a ton on his changeup against right-handed bats, as well as make sure that his delivery is optimized for his size and long-term health. But if all of that hits, the Brewers have a very nasty starter or reliever option that could turn into a top-end starter for a long time. I could see the Houston Astros going in a bunch of different directions here, but if Gavin Keelan out of Tennessee falls to this spot, then the Astros have to jump on the opportunity to select a slugging second baseman. Transferring to Tennessee out of Louisville, Keelan has been one of the risers in this draft and is now comfortably sitting as a first-rounder after enjoying a power surge this season, hitting a career-high 15 home runs in 46 games played. From the left-handed side, he reminds a lot of scouts of Gavin Lux in the way he plays. He's got a sweet swing that generates some really hard exit velocities, and this season he has been getting them into the air. Defensively, he's solid if not good. I personally believe that he has the positional versatility to most likely play corner outfield, although he probably doesn't have the range to play at shortstop. Nonetheless, Keelan's strength comes from hitting the ball well, and if he continues this power surge at the major league level, then the Astros have themselves a steal. Now here at 22, I have the Atlanta Braves taking hometown kid Daniel Pierce out of Mill Creek, Georgia. Pierce has been steadily rising during this draft cycle, so much so that he's probably going to be a first-round pick this year. The hype is all warranted too. Scouts notice that this season he seems to be both stronger as well as more athletic, which should play well as an instinctual fielder as well as a plus runner on the base paths. Offensively, Pierce is advanced for his age. He is willing to use the whole field, and while he currently does not have a ton of home run power yet at the moment, he could gain some more as he fills out his frame, where he is currently projected for around 15 to 20 home runs. Nonetheless, his offensive value comes from primarily getting on base and good base running, as well as working counts and getting his hacks in when needed. With this approach, Bryce Terang is a good archetypal comparison, although he does have a little bit more power in Pierce. At 23, I have the Royals going the high school way this year and taking Gavin Feen out of Great Oak, California. Standing at 6'3" and 200 pounds, Feen has the prototypical size for a third baseman, and many scouts believe that he can leverage his size and strength to generate plus raw power numbers. However, currently, his stance is a tad bit awkward and may need to be tweaked for him to tap into said power a little bit more. However, outside of that, Feen is more than just his size. He is a plus base runner, and while his arm may not be elite over at third base, it can certainly make do, and his athleticism gives him plus range over at the hot corner. Additionally, he could also move over to a corner outfield position as well long term, where he could be a plus defender over there as well. Overall, Feen is your prototypical power prospect. If he gets his swing fixed, he could have a quality major league career, similar to a player like Alec Burleson. The Tigers here have enjoyed success in their rebuild by selecting some great left-handed bats. Resultantly, even though their lineup is a tad bit left-handed heavy, I have them continuing in this mantra by selecting one of the best bats left available in Max Bellew out of Texas, who, with a shorter timeline, can hopefully help the Tigers capitalize on their current run with more offense. Bellew has an intriguing profile as a potential all-star in right field, capable of hitting 30 home runs in any given season, while also giving solid to plus defense in right field. A thumb injury did force him to miss a little bit of over a month this season, which has hurt his overall offensive statistics for 2025, but Bellew is still one of the better hitters in this draft, and was a potential top 10 pick going into this season. The Tigers here get a top-of-the-line bat who can maneuver through the minor leagues quickly and help out the squad. He does remind me of a bigger Mike Yastrzemski with more power. The Padres here have a bevy of high-risk, high-reward prospects in their current farm system, and while that is great for finding the next potential superstar, it does hurt the overall depth of this system. As a result, I have them going to take one of the safer prospects left on this board in catcher Luke Stevenson out of North Carolina, who also fills the Padres' catching position long-term. Stevenson is not an amazing pure hitter. He's got a tad bit of swing and miss in his game and will be lucky to be above 250 in terms of his batting average. Additionally, he's not an athletic runner and does not have elite blocking abilities. However, Stevenson is strong. He's got 25 homer upside from the catcher position and a plus arm at catcher to throw out runners. Additionally, Stevenson has reportedly also calls good games and can command a pitching staff, which are all the makings of a pretty good defensive catcher. For San Diego, I think that this is a really good blend of safety because Stevenson will be a major leaguer with this defense, and tandem with upside because he has power. I see Sean Murphy to be a ceiling if everything does pan out. The Phillies, similar to the Padres, always seem to grab a high-risk, high-reward type of prospect with their early selections. However, their current major league team and their farm system does not lack the depth that the Padres do, and additionally, they also can't take Stevenson. So I have them continuing their mantra by selecting a boomer-bust prospect in Xavier Nyans out of Mount Vernon, Washington. Standing at 6'4" and 205 pounds, Nyans has all the potential to be a plus-plus hitter in every facet of the game. During his showcases against elite high school prospects, Nyans has showcased great exit velocities, ranging as high as 108 miles per hour. However, defensively, Nyans has questions about where he will play long-term. Although he likely will have positional versatility to play third base or corner outfield with a strong arm, it's clear that he has the frame and tools to be great anywhere on the field. Although he just needs time to refine all of them. His strong body and power on tall fields reminds me of a left-handed Nick Castellanos. Lastly, in terms of the real first round, we have the Guardians, who historically love to draft pure hitters, whether from the collegiate or prep rankings. Well, amongst the board left, the player who has the best hit tool is Kyson Cunningham. Originally, Cunningham was posted as one of the better prep players in this draft. However, concerns over his smaller size and long-term power potential has somewhat dropped him in these rankings. Nonetheless, he is still one of the purest hitters in this class. He's got a compact approach and uses the entire field, with no visible holes in his left-handed swing. Defensively at shortstop, his athleticism gives him enough range to play shortstop at the highest level, and his arm strength is also good enough for there as well, although he could play second base in spurts. Nonetheless, despite the lack of a true power output, his other tools are well beyond his age and provide hope for an exceptional player later on as he continues to mature. He reminds me a decent amount of Luis Arias or Jeff McNeil with that bat control. As for the last three teams in the Mets, Yankees, and Dodgers, I really don't know who they are drafting because there's over 10 additional picks in between the teams drafting and them. However, I will try to give a player that I could see going to the team, whether it be in their range or not. For the Mets, I think that Zach Root could be an option for them and their long-term pitching depth, as he has a long-term outlook of a middle rotation starter. Root has a decent fastball, it fills in the mid to low 90s with sink and generates a ton of ground balls, but he relies primarily on his secondary offerings to generate swing and miss. His changeup is his best pitch, sitting in the mid 80s. It's a good change of pace from the fastball with great depth. He additionally hosts a low 80s curveball and mid 80s sweeper that he also throws from to round out his arsenal. His calling card is his delivery. Coming from a 3/4 arm slot with a high leg kick, it effectively throws off hitters at the collegiate level and hopefully at the major league level as well. Chris Bassett is a major league comparison given with his arsenal. As for the Yankees, I think that prep prospect Alec Blair is a very nice player to take a chance on with their first pick. Blair is a super projectable player at 6'6" and 195 pounds. Coming from the left-handed side, he brings a ton of power potential with his frame that should only increase as he adds more muscle mass to it. Right now, he's inconsistent with his load, as many high schoolers are, but he is only 18 and has all the time to improve despite his frame at 6'6". Defensively, he's a lot like Judge, utilizing his long strides to cover vast amounts of ground in the outfield for above average speed. And while he may not accelerate the fastest, his top-end speed rivals anyone. For a Yankees farm system that is trying to develop another superstar, Blair, who draws a ton of comparisons to James Wood, can potentially fill in that role. Lastly, we have the Dodgers, and I believe that 6'6" high school lefty Cameron Appenzeller out of Glenwood, Illinois, could be a very tantalizing option for one of their back-to-back picks. Appenzeller is 6'6" and 180 pounds, so he's a lot like Kruz Schoolcraft in a way in that he's a big lefty who can utilize his long arms to generate weird angles with a ton of velocity. Right now, his fastball sits in the low to mid 90s, but he could jump up as he adds more muscle to his frame. He needs to work on his secondaries to play at the major league level, but the Dodgers are better than anyone at developing pitching prospects, so Appenzeller could be the next big thing for them. I see a lot of Andrew Heaney in his game. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, if you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe, and comment down below new video ideas. Also, comment down below if you would like me to create another mock draft, maybe later on in this season, or even a farm system rankings. But just comment down below any ideas you have, and without further ado, I will see you guys in the next one. God bless.